What's new in this reel? So this is my favorite one. This is the biggest one in my opinion. The FA was so good, but it did not have infinity loop. Look how slow that oscillation is on there. It's just so slow, but what does that do for you? Why is that good? So that stacks line incredibly close together on the spool. So what that does is when you're casting, that line's not having, so you got the bail open, that line's not having to jump up and down the spool as fast to get off of the spool. So when it's having to jump like that, it's creating resistance basically on itself. So it's not allowing you to cast as far. So when the line's stacked close together, I mean, super close together, it hardly has to move when it's flying off the spool. So this really helps you make a long cast. I've mentioned this before, but the first time I fished a Stella FK, which also has this technology, also an $800 reel, not the price of this that we'll get to later on. First time I fished one of those was 2,500 with an NRX. It was a super nice combo. I was throwing a 1/15 ounce Z-Man Ned shrimp when we were sight fishing redfish. The first handful of casts that I made at fish were like 50 feet past. I was not ready for the amount of casting gains that this infinity loop was giving me. So you'll notice a huge difference in that feature itself. If you've never fished infinity loop, I strongly recommend you try a reel with it. Shimano is the only company that offers that. Nobody has hopped on that train yet, so it's exclusive to them, but try it. It's absolutely amazing as far as casting goes. The next new thing this has over the FA is back to the gearing a little bit. It's Infinity Cross. So we talked about the gearing and how the teeth mesh together, and this goes right to that point. So Infinity Cross, they're a little vague with how they describe it, but what they say there is that the teeth of this is purely between the main gear and the pinion gear, but the gear teeth mesh together perfect. So we already talked about the X-ship and how that keeps them aligned. This is taking it one step further. So they're basically making sure that the gear tooth between the pinion gear and the tooth on the main gear, oh, I did those backwards, the pinion gear and the main gear, they're making sure the whole tooth is making contact with the whole tooth of the other gear. So there's no hot spots on each individual gear. So that's going to attribute to amazing smooth feel, but also it's just going to help lengthen the life of those gears and make sure that those teeth are not prematurely wearing unevenly. You're just getting a very strong gear and a system that's going to last an extremely long time. You got Infinity Drive as well, and this is a special coating over the main shaft and a couple other pieces. This attributes just to an ultra smooth feel. This is significantly smoother than the FA, which again, great reel, super smooth. They've just improved upon that and made that better with Infinity Drive as well.